Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Perhaps it's not surprising that Anthony Joshua does not believe Tyson Fury when he says he wants to face him. A day ago, Tyson Fury said on social media that he'd issued a draft contract for Joshua to face him in September. So now we've had some clarification, including from Fury's promoter, Queensberry, and also Eddie Hearn of Matchroom. So Eddie Hearn has confirmed that there has been contact, but he has denied that there is a draft offer. He says that George Warren, who is of Queensberry, Frank Warren's son, has reached out to restart talks, but said that AJ doesn't believe Fury, and so his priority remains to fight in August, and then Deontay Wilder in December in Saudi. And on the back of all this, some of the coverage that's been on social media, the media more broadly in boxing circles, we've actually had George Warren having to come out to clarify they've sent a formal offer, not a draft contract. So here is the clip, so you can take a listen to what George Warren says.
Spoke with Tyson on Monday, obviously on the back of knowing by then that Usyk Dubois was going to be happening and we were preparing a bid. Question was put to us, what fights are out there, what are the biggest fights possible that we can make? AJ's name came up in that conversation, of course it would, it's a huge fight, and the instruction was quite clear, go and try and make that fight. So the following morning, put an email over to Eddie, made a formal offer, same terms as for December, so exactly the same deal as far as we're concerned. We're ready to go, Tyson wants it to happen, so do we, and I hope they do too.
So I guess that some people will say, are they splitting hairs when they say draft contract or formal offer? There has been some, maybe not discussion, but one side has reached out to the other and said, do you want to fight? And of this whole sort of situation with George Warren outlining there the different options that may exist for Tyson Fury, I think a lot of us now are looking at what Fury is saying and doing, the way that he's moving and going, that's so boring. It looks like an obvious ploy because Joshua is lining up that Wilder fight for the end of the year, that Fury just wants to be able to get ahead of that and say, look, I tried to fight Joshua, he didn't want it. But we've been here, done that, got the postcard before, so it's gotten pretty old and pretty quick. And I think based on some of the comments that I'm seeing all over social media, including, comment section of my last video, at least for boxing fans, that there is a situation that, a lot of boxing fans are on their last nerve with Tyson Fury. But that won't necessarily be the case with the casual boxing fan. They won't be hearing and seeing most of this because they're not following this sort of news. They're not part of the boxing news cycle, etc. So Fury, what he's been doing in recent days and weeks since he come out of a social media slumber, is just throwing around a lot of statements, seeing what will stick, what's going to get some traction, what's going to get some reported headlines. We saw it when he was in Australia with, potentially facing Dempsey McKean, potentially facing Jai Opetaia, and all sorts of things that have come up. That whole MMA stuff, John Jones, having a go at Dana White. Fury is on rinse and repeat with this thing that he does, and I guess we've seen it before, but I guess he's sticking to the whole, well, this actually works for me, has in the past, but there really is no sort of development or nuance with it anymore. But in terms of what Joshua is thinking, relaying via Eddie Hearn, if I was in his position, I wouldn't believe it as well. Fury may be saying he's not going to put a deadline on anything, but he wants to get ahead of the whole situation and put himself as the guy that made a legitimate offer and that it was not considered by Joshua. I guess Joshua's got to consider, if he was to face Tyson Fury, is he effectively, if he loses, going to give up what was reported as $38 million at the end of the year? And I'm sure those are considerations that have to come into it. And Fury will know, having, with this whole sort of thing that's been around for the past couple of weeks with these events that are proposed for Saudi Arabia, of which he has not signed his end of a deal to face Alexander Usyk, he will know that Joshua could be giving up millions and millions of dollars to face him in Wembley rather than facing Joshua to face Wilder in Saudi Arabia. So you kind of have to just ask the question, besides trying to be able to say Joshua ducked me, there's game playing here as well. Because, you face Fury. If he loses badly, he's probably not facing Wilder at the end of the year. So there is a back and forth here about what's really going on and what's feasible. But I think based on what we're hearing from Eddie Hearn, that Joshua's not really considering it. And I think in the circumstances, it is somewhat understandable. And I know some people might go, especially if they're huge Tyson Fury fans, Joshua doesn't want it. He doesn't want X, Y, and Z. Well, we could have had it before, and generally it's been the Fury side that's been the stumbling block. And now that Joshua looks to have lined up something for the end of the year that he's gunning for, Fury wants to get in the way. He wants to stick up some hurdles, and he wants to basically make it look like Joshua doesn't want to fight him at all. And this is the thing that ends up being a bit sad about the heavyweight division. All these games that are played, they don't really lead anywhere. And this is why boxing can be so frustrating, because we all want this fight. It should have happened, it could have happened, it didn't happen, and now it looks like it probably won't happen next. And not just because Joshua doesn't want it, because of the other circumstances that sit behind it. So we live and breathe as frustrated boxing fans, and I'm sure there will be some people coming in, rolling in behind Tyson Fury and saying, it's a legitimate offer. Well, it may be, but we do have circumstances on the Joshua side that look like he probably won't accept it. And given we've been fooled a few times on this whole thing, and it's been Fury that's been the one that's been fooling us, of course we're going to be skeptical about if it can happen ever. At the moment, Tyson Fury's doing a lot of talking. I mean, where's the actual action? And the devil's always in the detail as well. We saw that with the Alexander Usyk fight. What would happen? What if Joshua signed his end of the deal? Then all of a sudden, Tyson Fury keeps moving the goalposts. That's what we saw with the Usyk fight earlier this year. Anyway, Joshua seemingly doubtful in looking to potentially go another way before fighting Deontay Wilder at the end of the year. Well, that's what they're saying that they're targeting. I mean, let's face it. Maybe that fight doesn't happen as well. It is boxing after all. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.